Yulia, it is so good to meet you in person, not just seeing you digitally on your amazing LinkedIn and Instagram account. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Thank you so much for eating lunch with me.
We just had a great lunch in New York downtown. Yulia is in town for an Amazon conference.
Yep.
How was the conference?
The conference was great. A lot of people are worried about the Trump tax or Trump tariffs, but wonderful. Everybody is engaged. Everybody wants to make more money, sell more products, invent more products, and all of that. Yeah, so wonderful.
So I could tell you're a very optimistic person. You started the company around COVID, a time where a lot of businesses were afraid of what was going on and fearful, and it was a very negative period of time, but you happened to build an incredible company out of it. Can you talk a little bit about overcoming that fear energy and how you built something during that time?
I think I didn't think too much about the fear or the energy or anything like this. I just thought, oh, I need to make money. Kind of a situation. And the thing is kind of rolling right now. There are problems with sourcing. Factories in China are closed down, and a lot of old customers are reaching out to me in order to see if there are any options outside of China for sourcing. And this is how it basically started. Look, as you're a female founder who also runs a business with her husband, I think the only way I kind of overcame the fear, or I felt like I had a safety net, right? So I thought, if I'm going to fail, I know I'm not going to be left alone, and we're going to figure something out. So that was like kind of the biggest thing for me. I never thought I would rely so much on my partner in such a way. But yeah, that was basically it. Other than that, look, we all get our thinking, the way that we act from the way we were raised, right? This is why you raise your kids in a certain way. I grew up in the Soviet Union. In my old passport, I still have born in USSR. And the way we were taught is working is good, try to achieve the best, don't be scared, work hard, etc., etc. That's the only thing I was trying to do. I try not to overthink it, not to overcomplicate things, and just go with the flow and be as efficient as possible and as kind as possible to people as it is, permissible. And yeah.
What are some of the biggest concerns that you hear right now from your clients from a legal perspective?
We have a lot of customers who are having problems with the trademarks in China. So, for example, you have a brand and you've been selling this, you're manufacturing the brand in China and you're selling this brand successfully in the United States. And some random Chinese guy can, or not even but some random person in China can go and register your brand, and next time you're exporting, they're going to say, no, stop. I own the trademark for this product.
Trademark squatters, huge problem. And I love that you just said that, because it's not just for Fortune 500 companies anymore. It's not just these big companies having problems. It really is affecting even the small to mid-sized businesses.
So long story short, recently we sent a newsletter or inquiry to a lot of our customers asking, hey guys, we've been sourcing for you in China. Are you certain that your trademark is not registered? And they're like, no, everything's great. I've been selling for years, no problem. Especially one of the guys, like German, like really loud. And guess what? Both of his brands are registered by some random Chinese guy.
Oh,
so now all of those problems, came to light. He was never stopped at the customs before, but it might come. By now, he sells for about 20 million euros per year. This is a substantial amount of money. This is not peanuts anymore. So you need to be extremely careful with this. This is kind of one of the largest legal battles that is coming up. Another one that we see is infringements on trademarks and infringements on different types of patents, especially design patents.
Of course.
Because especially, yet again, Amazon sellers, they like to find a potential product that is going to be a top seller, but it has a design patent on it. And they try to do a little tweak in there and then start selling it.
So. We were talking about this at lunch. There are IP issues on both sides. There's IP issues when you are a brand and building your intellectual property out, protecting the product design, the brand, your photos, all the marketing materials.
100%.
That's all protectable IP, and you should be protecting that. But then also being an Amazon seller, if you do white label, making sure that you're not buying products that are infringing. So can you talk a little bit about some of the strategies that your clients have used to kind of prevent some of those issues or to get out of some of those issues?
Well, they use us, but that's kind of too easy. Look, you just need to be smart about it. You need to do a very good research. Use legal help beforehand before you kind of go down any path. I always say spend a few $100 or few $1,000 to verify things before you dump hundreds of thousands of dollars on purchasing your products, on advertising, and then somebody blocks you and you're like, oh, I have stock. Mom, can you take it in your garage? Right? It doesn't work that way. So in my opinion, years ago, 10, 15 years ago, there were a lot of people, unfortunately there's still now, who are posting YouTube videos saying buy product for $2, sell product for $20, all of those things. So that kind of stuff doesn't work anymore. And I think in order to start a brand, you need to put aside 10 to 20K. That would be my suggestion. And this is not only for purchasing the product. This is for developing your brand design, blah, 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 all of the things, including some of the legal fees as well.
Absolutely, because you need to build a foundation. If you're going to invest your whole life and your energy and all this money into something, why would you not do it with a strong foundation?
In today's day and age, there are so many different types of infringements and so many ways of going wrong. You can't be protected from everything. That is just impossible. But you can be protected from the basic things that will keep you, your brand, and your money out of trouble. So again, from our side, we all, like, before the customers, we start, doing sourcing and all of those things. We always do compliance checks. So certifications that are required in order to sell the product in a certain country. The second one is definitely a compliance check for the packaging, because what you need to put in a packaging in the United States is different from what you need to put in Germany. Plus, you need to check the ingredients. These ingredients, because a lot of ingredients that are allowed in the US are not allowed in Europe because they're counted as carcinogenic, for example. And all of the trademark and all of those issues. So you're legally set up and you're in the clear. Problems will come up one by one, sometimes, eventually. That's unavoidable. But you have your base covered. So again, I have two brands. Me and Sebastian own. We started the first brand in 2014. And we didn't. So we just kind of
over 10 years ago.
Yeah. So it was started as a hobby, and back then the Amazon business was not such a serious thing, or so we thought.
Wow.
Right. So I would have done things differently. I would definitely get a little bit more into the legal field of making sure that I have certain documents that will protect me. Give you an example. We had a product and we created some creatives that were on our Amazon listing, and the Chinese seller took that photo and he used it to manufacture his packaging, our photo, and sell it in retail in Germany.
Story of my life with
we could sue him. He had to take hundreds of thousands of units of his products outside of the retail in Germany.
Wow.
Because that photo,
did you register it?
Was made by our designer who had all of the
copyright registration,
blah, whatever. That was Imagine, right? Yeah. And we were selling in those retail stores as well.
And in the US, if you have copyright registrations, they could be subject to $150,000 per work.
Seriously?
In an infringement, yes.
There's statutory damages. Have that in Germany.
There's statutory damages, and you get attorney's fees if you have registration. So that's why it's really important. Like, we're talking about setting up the legal foundations. It's so simple. Is your trademark protectable, and then actually securing it, copywriting all your product photos. Yep. Can you copyright some design element of your products, and then going through their contract checklist, having like your buttoned up agreements. It's really that simple. It's not 100%. Overly complicated. Yeah. And then, when you work with a good IP lawyer, they're going to do, like, we at least do an audit. We'll look at the whole company to figure out, how can you protect this product? How can I protect my business? Because maybe it's not just trademarks and copyrights. Maybe there's a patent element. Yeah. And with patents, if you don't file within the first year in the US, you lose rights. Or abroad, the second that you disclose it to the world, you may have lost the rights to get the patent. So really critical.
When you have potential customers and you do the free checkup, thingy. So what are the biggest problems that you usually find in those things when people come to you?
So the biggest thing I say is a brand will work with a lawyer early, and that lawyer will only advise them for where they are today in that moment. You're a small company.
So they're not thinking ahead.
They are not thinking ahead. So that the time when they go and they scale and they become really popular online, they have no global protections. They're not recorded with customs. They don't have the right contracts. And now they're doing everything retroactively, which means it's expensive. If you're doing things retroactively in the legal world, that's dollar signs, expensive legal problems, and headaches. Versus if like we do it proactive and just keep building up that IP portfolio and grow it, you are built. I call it insurance. It's like no one wants to pay for insurance, but you do it annually so that when things go wrong, you can at least have the documents that protect you. It's the same thing with trademark and copyright registrations. If there is a problem, all you need to do is flash that certificate of registration, and 9 times out of 10, the problem will go away. It's when you don't have that proof of ownership, that's when the problems are really expensive.
Preventative measures are always better. This is like with you living your life. If you're eating healthy, if you're exercising, if you're looking after yourself, at the end of the day, if you take the cumulative of what you spend on your health and what you're spending when you're getting sick, when it's very, very low amount, you spend a lot less money than if you're not taking care of yourself and then you're paying doctor's fees and things like this.
Totally.
So this is exactly the same. I think the problem is that people are not, they think, oh, but you know what, but what if nothing happens and then I waste the money? No, but what if something does? So I think preventative measures, especially with the legal, especially in the US, where your guy is like 150 for a photo. Holy,
yes,
this is insane. I will check how much it is in Germany and in Europe in general, but preventative measures in this case, they will be, first of all, smart, second of all, cheaper, than if, God forbid, something happens. And you don't know if something will happen or not. That's the point.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about your company. We were first introduced because I represent a lot of companies that sell online.
Yep.
And in today's geopolitical commercial climate, it's critical to have a reliable, high quality, yet affordable supply chain.
Yep.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do exactly to help brands that sell online?
I'm not going to repeat what you said. That was very diplomatic, but I mean, we're kind of screwed, right? This is what is happening in the world with war here, political crisis there, taxes, import taxes, and all of those things. Look, I think people are looking at supply chain in a very wrong way. So a lot of people right now, quickly about my company, Zignify Global Product Sourcing. We help people find manufacturers for new products that they want to launch or optimize their supply chain so they have higher margins, so they can make more money. We do quality control, we do sourcing trips to Indonesia, China, Vietnam, and other countries. So everything that relates to sourcing and compliance as well. So people are looking at Trump tariffs right now. That's what we call it, the Trump tariff. And everybody's trying to put out that fire, but this is the wrong thing to do because you need to look at your supply chain in general. I can give you, yesterday at the trade show, this was exactly the same thing that I was talking to, and I was talking to some 8- and 9-figure sellers who have thousands of SKUs, and I'm like, okay, and do you have this? Have you done this? And he's looking at me like he's never purchased a product before. And for me, these are the basic things in terms of optimizing their supply chain. So the 3 things that I just told him, if he can probably save 15% on his current purchasing costs.
That's a huge amount.
And especially when you spend $20 million on your purchasing costs per year. Wow. This is insane. But it's not only about people who've been in the industry for a while and sell for, like, have huge revenues. This is also for beginners. People can start optimizing their supply chain from the start. Everybody thinks, oh, but I'm small. I have small MOQs and da-da-da-da-da. You don't know if your MOQ is small or not. You know nothing about sourcing. I mean this in the nicest way possible. But you know what? Tell me, what is your product? Tell me, where are you going to sell? How are you going to sell? Who are your target groups? How many da-da-da? And I will tell you what are the possibilities that you actually have. One of the easiest examples. So when you're purchasing a product, for example, China, right? The normal payment terms of 30% deposit and 70% down payment or balance payment before shipping. A lot of people say, I want to negotiate better terms, but it's probably only going to happen after I work with the manufacturer for 1 or 2 years. I'm like, why? We negotiate on the 3rd order.
It's awesome.
And most of the people, oh, but what if, I'm like,
Ask.
what is it going to cost you if you're going to ask?
Wow.
Absolutely nothing.
You're not only are you a huge advocate and in negotiations, but also we were talking about the travel and like actually physically visiting. I know that like the CEOs and the clients we work with are doing incredible work and they're busy, so they don't necessarily, they may pay a premium just for the ability to say, oh, I don't have to go and travel to China or source
That's
myself.
perfectly fine. But honestly, if you're in millions in terms of purchasing costs, showing up your face in China for a few days, just flying in, spending there 2 days and going back, it can be a huge advantage. Here, you need to understand that the difference in the cultures, and in China, for example, it's the guanxi. That's the Chinese term. So it's basically relationships, right? If you meet the laoban, the boss, and you will bring him, for example, what is, if I'm coming from New York, what would I bring as a present? Like, what, not a bagel or something like this, but what would be the New York thing to give somebody as a present?
Probably a bagel. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We have really good chocolate and drinks. So there's a lot of things. And even Yulia was so kind of you to even bring just a little bag of chocolate and
and
champagne.
everything is German, right? Because I'm coming from Germany,
So
and
smart.
This is the culture that I learned from when I lived in China for 9 years, right? So when you're, for example, communicating, negotiating with the Chinese factory, especially if you're going there for the first time and you're meeting the boss, you never go empty-handed.
Wow.
So some people buy the latest Hermes bag for $700. But when you're purchasing for millions, the $700, they don't matter so much. And you also bring something for their kids if you know they have kids. Because Chinese, for them, it's a huge in the culture, right? In Indonesia, it's different. In Germany, it's different. In every country, it's different. And this is the point that you need to understand. Even if you're doing sourcing on your own, you're doing your own purchasing, and you're not that big, go on YouTube. Find a few how to do business in that country videos. Spend 10 minutes to watch it. Educate yourself. It's not going to hurt. It's going to improve the way that you do business.
It's so fascinating. And then even like if you don't know the culture, we need to be doing that. But I think it's about giving and figuring how can I give to my new contact or my relationship instead of just what can I get, what can they give me.
Exactly, 100%. And we were talking about this before. I think, have you ever, a good suggestion for all of you out there, Bob Burke, The Go-Giver. Have you read that book?
I know, is he a lawyer, Bob Burke?
I think
No,
so.
okay.
Maybe, but read the book,
Okay.
The Go-Giver. It's like this small, and Sebastian read it years ago, changed his life. He forced me to read it.
Okay, so, we need to read it.
It's basically the concept of you're giving things without expecting something in return.
Beautiful.
Because most of the time when we're doing something, you still kind of expect some things in return, but on a lot without stress. And when you're giving something to somebody and you're not expecting anything in return, you're like, you know what? I'm chill, everything great, the vibe is good, all is great. When you start seeing that the people are using you, that's a different thing. Cut them off.
Yes.
But when you have a genuine relationship with somebody or you're trying to build that, that's perfect. So again, small book, The Go-Giver, recommended.
That's so beautiful. We had a great lunch. Yulia is one of the top female entrepreneurs out there in general that I have come across. And he has big goals and big visions, and I know you're.
And
I
told you I can't take the nicey the compliment.
She's phenomenal. Please send us the Forbes link because I want our community to see it. So we'll put it at the bottom of this so you can watch. But thank you so much. This was so fun.
No problem.
This was Legal Limelight. We're here every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we will see you next week. Bye.